The current topic that will be discussed in this presentation is related to the income smoothing practices, evidence from an emerging economy. I have discussed this topic from the Egyptian perspective. Throughout this discussion, I tried to answer some key questions. First, are there income smoothing practices in listed firms in the Egyptian stock exchange during the period 2010 to 2015? Second, are there key differences regarding the financial characteristics between smoother firms and non-smoother firms in the Egyptian stock exchange? Third, what are the key determinants of prediction of income smoothing? As shown, I have 3 key questions and 3 key objectives. First objective, for identifying the income smoothing notion and income smoothing computation and manual method of income smoothing, and last created simple creative software for measuring the income smoothing and its evaluation. Second objective, for studying the differences of financial characteristics between the smoother firms and the non-smoother firms and its conjecture or hypothesis. Firm characteristics are significantly different between income smoothers and non-income smoother firms. This conjecture or this hypothesis is examined by using the Mann-Whitney test. Third objective, for identifying the key determinants of prediction of income smoothing in Egypt. Its hypothesis, firm characteristics impact significantly income smoothing index, and I examined this hypothesis using a binary logistic regression. More details about results and the conclusion will be presented. About the presentation structure, I expect that more details and information will be included in this presentation, especially about the definition of income smoothing, the purpose of the study, the methodology of the study and its implication, and the measurement of income smoothing, especially manual method and the simple created software. And I will refer to the originality of the paper and its relationship with the literature in accounting literature. More information about the sample, especially number of firms and number of observations and the duration will be presented. Statistical techniques and the main results will be presented and included in this presentation. Then generally, earnings management is a big theme in accounting, and earnings management may have occurred through accruals and real activities. Real activities such as overproductions, discretionary expenses, and operating cash flow are used for earnings management. However, there is another approach called accruals for earnings management. And we have additional approaches and tools and methods such as manipulation, creative accounting, establishing a cookie jar, window dressing, big bath, and income smoothing that we discussed today. Previous research measures income smoothing based on earnings and operating cash flow. ETU model is one of the most popular models and is the most referred by many researchers to predict the income smoothing. In brief, this model examined the income smoothing based on the comparison between income change and sales change. And this is the key notion of the model. The purpose of the study was to examine the existence of income smoothing practices in Egypt and identify the differences concerning firm characteristics between smoothers and non-smoothers. The main purpose how to classify Egyptian listed firms into smoother firms and non-smoother firms. The methodology of the study used a sample of non-financial firms over the period of 2010 to 2015 to determine income smoothing index using intelligent software based on EAT model. The sample comprises of 143 firms by 62% of listed firms in Egyptian stock exchange. Several statistical techniques were employed, including logistic regression, to predict the key determinants of income smoothing besides the Mann-Whitney and some descriptive statistics. About the definition and the measurement of variables, I used the probability of income smoothing. Income smoothing index takes 1 for smoother firms, takes 0 for smoother firms, and it takes 1 for non-smoother firms. I used approximately 11 firm characteristics, such as dividend yield, earnings per share, book value, strategic holding, market value of equity, operating leverage, and managerial ownership, liquidity, and so on. All data collected from data stream during the period. This study examines the existence of income smoothing practices in Egypt and identifies the differences concerning the firm characteristics between the smoothers and non-smoothers, and this was the main goal of the study. The originality of the study extends the extensive literature concerning income smoothing, especially in emerging economy, specifically in Egypt. There was a slight grasp for the Middle East, and non-popular research has investigated empirically income smoothing practices in Egypt, and the paper aimed to cover this research gap. Additionally, the study enriches the literatures by providing a new computerized methodology that solves the difficulty of income smoothing determination. The notion of model equal. Model equal makes a comparison between the income changes and the sales changes. Following a two-equal model, income smoothing index is the quotient of the coefficient of variations of changes of income to the coefficient of variation of changes of sales. According to model equal, a firm is assorted as an income smoother when it has a value less than 1. A firm is classified as non-smoother firm when the value greater than 1. In brief, I would like to say that the notion of equal model, a relationship between changes in income and the changes in sales, and the borderline is number 1 or the value 1. Manual method of income smoothing. To compute manually income smoothing, several steps and sophisticated steps are applied as follows. Compute the mean of variation of a change of net income throughout the period. Throughout the period, we collect data about income and compute the changes, and compute the mean of changes, and compute the standard deviation of changes, and at last we compute the coefficient variation of changes in income. This process, I think it's sophisticated when we work with long period, 20 years will be sophisticated. Sales, manual method, sales, we compute changes in sales, and the changes of sales, mean of changes, the standard deviation of changes of sales, and the coefficient variation of a change of sales. After that, we have 2 key points. Variation, coefficient of variation of income, coefficient of variation of sales. Through 2 figures, we can compute income smoothing. As I said before, we collect information about income data in the period and compute changes in income data and compute the mean of changes of income data, and compute the standard deviation of changes in income data, and at last to compute coefficient of variation of changes of income. This process is sophisticated and it takes a lot of time, take a lot of effort. Coefficient variation of sales. We collected data about sales during the period and computed changes in sales during each year, and compute the mean of changes of sales, and compute the standard deviation of changes of sales, and at the end we compute the variation of changes, coefficient of variation of changes by dividing the standard deviation of changes of sales to the mean of changes of sales. To examine the software, examining the software using data of income within ECL, I tried to use the same data of ECL to examine my software. We have a firm 1, and these figures or these numbers present the income during 6 years. And these numbers present the descriptive statistics of income during 6 years. This is the mean, this is the standard deviation, this is coefficient variation of absolute value of income. On another side, these numbers are changes of income during the year throughout 5 years, and these figures present and show the descriptive statistics of changes of income. I would like to refer to this figure because it's an important figure and we will use it another time. Coefficient variation of changes of income equal 2.44. By the same method, we have sales. We collect data of sales during the period. In this case, in this practical case, we speak about 6 years. And we computed changes of sales during 5 years. These figures, coefficient of variation of changes of sales equal 2.44. According to ECL model, income smoothing index equal coefficient variation of changes of income divided by coefficient variation of changes of sales, and equal 1. When we use these figures, we see that income smoothing index equal 1, and this is the border line in ECL model. Firm is less than this value is smoother. Firm less than this value is smoother, and the firm higher than this value is non-smoother. According to my software, how to use created software? We need only, the user need to do just only one step by entering the absolute values of income and sales during a specific period, and they click the report field. If we use this data in the created software, we will enter this data and click report. The software will give us the final result. Software comprises of simple fields, field for the company name, and another field for income during the period or during the year, field for the year, field for sales. As model method concentrates on changes in incomes and the changes in sales each year or each period. After that, we click enter and click report and report. For example, this is a practical case. This is a practical case in the software. the firm is X, and the period 6 years, and the income during 6 years minus 10 to minus 8.8, minus 14.9, 1.6, and 15.9. Sales during 6 years, 200, 240, 204, and so on. One refers to the changes in income. It's computed automatically. And the two refers, figures in this column refers to the changes of sales, and these figures are computed automatically. After we enter our data, we click report and report. The result will be as shown. When we click report, the software will give us income smoothing index by 1. This is the same result in manual computation, and this software save time and save effort, and very easy to use. This software will be useful for internal and external users of financial reports, especially stakeholders such as financial analysts, investors, managers, governmental devices, and other related parties. Anyone can use this software. The importance of this software can be explicated by its accuracy, quality, saving effort, time, and cost, besides avoiding huge sophistication regarding manual computation of income smoothing index. However, there is a weakness in this simple created software, in my opinion. It's one step in the too long route that explains the impact of technology in accounting practices, especially in big data. Second, this version, from my opinion, is so limited because it has no ability to store data. It does not accept any changes after processing. Its report is very poor, as it does not include the general information of the firm, no information about the date of the report. The report cannot be modified. However, this weakness may be improved through an integration process between academics in accounting and academics in computer science. This software may be improved, and maybe mobile app, and became a useful tool to compute income smoothly. About the study hypothesis, I stated two main hypotheses. First hypothesis, firm characteristics are significantly different between income smoothers and non-smoothers firms in Egypt. I examined this hypothesis by using approximately 11 firm characteristics, such as book value, operating leverage, financial leverage, managerial leverage, firm size, strategic holding. All these firm characteristics are significantly different between income smoothers and non-smoothers because significant value was less than 5%. Otherwise, profitability and earnings per share, dividend yield, and liquidity, market value of equity, their sub-hypotheses were rejected because the significance value was higher than 5%.